Well, I've been kicked out of my near every bar around. I've been locked up for driving 120 through town. I've been shot at and cut with a knife, messing around with another man's wife. But other than that, we ain't nothing, just good old boys. Threw my boss out the window and got fired for my last job. Hot wired a city truck and turned it over in the mayor's yard. Beat my brother-in-law half to death. Lost $20 on his football bet. But other than that, we ain't nothing, just good old boys. Good old boys, we're all the same. Ain't no way we'll ever change. Ain't no harm by the things we do or the trouble that we get into. Other than a wild hair once in a while, we can't help it, it's just our style. Good old boys, it's all we'll ever be. I got an alimony payment that's 6 weeks overdue. I got caught with a truck full of bootleg out-of-state booze.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Wade and Carter Show. I'm Ash. He's Brent. We're here. You're there. We're glad you're joining us everywhere, whether you're on Magic.
Gavelled in. We're gavelled in as the
Facebook,
session goes on.
YouTube. If you're checking in on YouTube, make sure you subscribe and make a comment. Put a little thumbs up.
Yeah.
If you're on Facebook, follow us.
Had an interesting and a little bit disheartening conversation with AJ Louderback recently, where he talked about that what you're seeing now at the House of Representatives level is a bill will be brought up, and let's just say that it's a bill for, I don't know, you got to put the grocery carts back where you got them. That's the bill. You got to do it. And now you've got the Democrats will get up and go, does the gentleman yield? The gentleman for what purpose? Question about this. Does it matter if the cart has the automatic locking wheel on it? Do I still have to put that cart up? I need to understand that disenfranchises folks that are in the automatic rolling, buggies, yada, yada, yada. And what they're doing is they're just up there chubbing along because every minute they can waste is another Republican bill down the road. The ones that are in line to be read, it's another Republican bill that gets put on the shelf or dies on the floor.
Well, and to me, you've got a lack of leadership in the speaker if he won't call the question and get these things rolling.
That's what's got to happen. But this guy, this Burrows guy, is so moderate, which is, the lukewarm Republican, that he's kind of like, well, that's a pretty good point. I mean, what about the guy in the rolling buggy? That's not good.
Yeah, but at some point, they all start saying the same thing, maybe in a different way, right?
Yeah, there's no doubt. I mean, that is the problem. So,
speaking of which, has a quarter ever held people more accountable than when you have to put it in your grocery cart?
No.
Like at Aldi's or
get your quarter back.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
awesomeness.
People don't want to give up a quarter.
No.
It's crazy.
Lay down.
Ricky King, first one in this morning. Scott Tomko, Judge Posey. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the show.
The Wade and Carter Perfect Weather, brought to you by the great folks at AT Durham Feed. I'm going to remind you one more time. You're sneaking up on Memorial Day. It is time to go buy the proprietary 21-7-14 blend, the Wade and Carter blend of fertilizer. Go down there and find Jackie Parsons and just tell her, hey, I need that Wade and Carter fertilizer. They know what it is. The guys will load it up in your car for you. You don't have to mess with it. You can pay for it, go get in your car, and it's there. The time is upon us to put it back down.
It's of the essence.
Yes, 55 degrees in Victoria under cloudy skies, heading to a high today of 90. Today's a Bluebird Day. Today's, I always call it a Randy Vivian Day. It's a Randy Vivian Chamber of Commerce Day.
I went by to Deerlum on Friday and got some sayonara.
I'm assuming that kills something.
Mosquitoes,
Okay.
bugs, anything.
Everything.
Kills everything. It used to be called napalm, but that's not as popular. It's not the DuPont version. It's another type of
Sayonara.
airborne. Sayonara.
Sayonara, suckers.
Right.
Mark Kurtz, good morning. Bobby Leister checking in. Will Vincent, Marvin Mickish, Linda Christ, Rena Scherer,
Hi,
George
Rena.
Samples, Heather Kraft Stewart, good morning. Micah Patton, Monty Howard, Tammy Keeling, Scott Tomko says go Stars. Big win last night. Yesterday afternoon, Justin Glass, Wendy Garcia,
Marty Conrad.
Monty Conrad, good morning. Stephanie Conti, Buddy Stavanoa, Amanda King, Sarah Elkins, Jackie Parsons. Look at that. Junior says the 21-7-14 works great.
Yeah, there's just no getting around it. I don't know what it is, and we talk it up.
It's your nitrogen, potassium.
It's just the right break.
Blend, right?
It's the right blend for St. Augustine in this climate. And I assume it probably also works for Bermuda grass.
I would think.
But I can only speak from experience about the St. Augustine. And it is.
Well, Jackie's in. Does the 21-7-14 work well on the Bermuda and native southern Texas grasses as well?
Yeah.
Like if you live in the country, nobody's putting St. Augustine on their acre yard.
Yeah.
That'd be a lot of sod delay.
But it should be a pretty yard.
Would be.
I was up this weekend towards the Magnolia area, and coming back, we drive the back roads. You're way up in extreme northwest Houston, right? You got to drive the back roads back down. It does work for St. Augustine. You drive it back down through and come out at like Sealy. And all that back there is those rolling hills. There's a reason they built 45 where they did and 35 where they did. There's a lot of hills in the middle. And so it's just perfect. We drove there. Everything was green. Cows are fat. Lots of horses.
That's why there's no east-west. There's like one east-west highway in Nevada.
I-10.
Everything else is north-south because the mountain ranges.
Yeah. Well, if you think about it, if you look at I-35, you're on the eastern edge of the hill country, if you will, and you're on the western side of all those rolling hills that are like Brenham and that area where you have those little ranchitos that are so nice. I never figured nobody over there works. If you go to that part, if you like from here to College Station, once you get past Schulenburg, nobody there has a job. They all have these beautiful homes on these rolling hills and little ponds and beautiful barns and all this stuff in there, but there's no work over there. Nobody does anything.
I find it funny. To me, that's more the hill country than the actual hill country.
Yeah, the hill country is more like the canyon country.
Kind of.
Yeah.
There's Jarrett McCurgan checking in. Scott Snow, good morning.
Beautiful weather this weekend.
Yeah, very nice.
Hope you, for all you moms out there, hope you had a wonderful Mother's Day. We took my mom out for Mother's Day on Friday, and then because we were gone for baseball. But yesterday, I think Dawn had a good day. It's Mother's Day, and she was at a ballpark, so she was happy.
It was Jordan Glass. Speaking of which, First State Bank Astros update. This ashames me to be an Astros fan. Lance McCullers coming back after 3 years off. Hadn't pitched 3 1/3 his first time, or 3 2/3.
And didn't do so bad.
Didn't do so bad. It was 4 strikeouts, 3 walks. It wasn't a bad outing considering he hadn't pitched in 3 years in the major leagues. Then on Saturday, gets lit up by a 500 Reds team, which, I mean, if you think about it, that's where the Astros are, so it's not like they're any worse. But
he gave up like what, seven runs in a third of it, got one out.
Yeah. And
apparently
they lose 13-9, which means the rest of the pitchers gave up 6 runs too. I mean, they couldn't. It was that's the funny thing about baseball. One pitcher has a bad inning and it seems everybody.
Yeah, it's contagious.
Yeah, it really is.
Mediocrity is contagious. But McCullers and his family literally receiving death threats.
It's one game in the early throes of a 162 game season. Nobody's calling it a setback. When I first saw the box score, I was like, oh, no, Lance had arm issues again.
No, his problem is he makes his living with his fastball. And when his velo was 95, 94, he was a really, really effective pitcher because the spread between his fastball and his slider, fastball and changeup, those things were just great enough that other hitters couldn't catch up. Well, now his fastball is about the same as his slider, and if his slider is not working great, he uses the fastball constantly to set up the other pitches. And if it's not working great, then they just sit fastball and kill it.
But the fact that his family received death threats
Yeah,
Saturday night,
he's got little
Sunday,
kids.
come
and
on.
people were saying, we're going to kill your kids.
Yeah.
What do you do with that? You call the FBI, which is what I think he did.
Good.
And
I hope they make an example out of one of them.
yeah, I don't know.
I mean, Jesus. Well, here's what happened. Some idiot probably bet on McCullers to have 6 strikeouts in the game on DraftKings
Right,
or something,
and
and
got
lost his shirt.
Yeah, got upset.
Yeah.
Now, the upside of that is yesterday, Ronel Blanco, who really kind of
Stunk it up a week ago.
pooped his bed a week ago. He comes out, and it's baseball. He gives you 8 innings of 2-hit shutout baseball and has 11 strikeouts, an all-time his career best.
Yeah.
And the Astros cruise. I think they won
6-0.
6-0. Yeah, it was 4-0 early or 3-0 early. Christian Walker had a 2-run double with the bases loaded. I saw that.
Played pretty well yesterday.
Yeah, the Astros played good. They're good. This team, don't forget.
Altuve wasn't in the lineup.
If
Jordan
you go
Alvarez
back,
wasn't in the lineup yesterday.
go back to the 2017 World Series, and Jose Altuve is the only member that's still there. This team has had constant turnover. Aledmus Diaz, remember
that was
him?
8 years ago.
Marwin Gonzalez, remember him?
George Springer, remember him?
Tucker. I mean, they've had constant Carlos Correa, Yuli Gurriel, Lance Armstrong.
That's it.
McCullers.
Alex Bregman. They've had constant turnovers with some arguable superstar replacements. And they've gone to, 7 straight ALCS. So I think in the long run, the Astros are going to be fine. That's a long way around the barn to tell you that the Astros won 1 and lost 1. Thank you to the First State Bank of Louise, the friendliest little bank anywhere. Small enough to get it to know you by name and big enough to get it done. Give them a call. Go see Patricia Nagel. Go see Lolly.
Most likely Lolly.
Lolly's the one to see, yeah. Go into the bank right there at John Stockbauer in Salem.
Hockey half minute. Dallas Stars win yesterday. Beat the Winnipeg Jets pretty handily. Mika Rantanen just continues to just. This might be the most dominating performance in a postseason that I've seen in a long time.
Who does he play for?
Dallas. Good thing.
And what does he play? He's like a forward. He's a score guy.
At one point, and I don't know where it ended up. He had factored in on 15 of the Stars' last 16 goals.
Well, the thing
which means he either scored them or he's assisting on them.
What you do is you put George McGinnis in and you take him into the boards.
That ain't gonna happen.
It's the only thing you can do, right?
Can't hit him right now.
Why not?
Because he's shifty.
What you do is you take him into the boards. Rubbin is racing. Good morning, Judge Zeller. Hope you're doing great.
Stars lead that series 2-1. Florida shut out Toronto. That series is tied at 2. Tonight, Caps and Hurricanes. Carolina leads that one 2-1, and the Oilers and Golden Knights. Golden Knights won in overtime or late on Saturday night. 1.6 seconds left.
Yep.
Guy sent it a pass, and Leon Draisaitl put it into his own net to give the Golden Knights the win. That series 2-1.
Amanda King throws out that the Astros have won the last 17 Mother's Day games. Now, I heard Robert Ford on the radio to say yesterday they had won every Mother's Day game since 2016, but when they played on Mother's Day. But that doesn't mean that I'm right. So that's at any rate. Does it
really matter?
Yes, it absolutely.
It's not
matters
open
to all the moms out there.
Judge Zeller checking in. Good morning. Or did you already say hi?
I did.
All right.
But you can say hi again. That is Judge Zeller.
Yeah. Take our first break, and then we'll jump into some other stuff. Prescription drug price help could be coming.
Then I'm getting the senior discount.
You want help with prices? Go to the Dollar Floor store today.
Super cool people, super nice store. Go in and see. I'm convinced you go in thinking, I just want to go see it because Wade and Carter sent me. Go in and see them, and you're going to be inspired to go, that's it. I'm changing out that
at
ugly
that price. I'm doing it.
I'm buying it. I'm doing it. Palace Bingo, where friends meet friends, the 22nd. That's not this Thursday, but next Thursday. The first ball pops at 7:30.
Get there about 7.
Yeah, we get there about 7. Get you something to eat and have a great. The food is fantastic. Yeah. Can't be overemphasized. It's a great place to go and grab just a good old fashioned cheeseburger,
chocolate cake with sprinkles on.
They've got it all. USA Concrete Coatings, sand it, seal it, stain it, paint it, whatever you want done to your concrete. USA Concrete Coatings can do it. They can also put down a tough as nails polyurethane coat that won't crack, stick, peel, or fade. Put it in your garage floor. Put down your Astros logo. Put down anything you want with USA Concrete
Cover up
Coatings.
that Cowboys logo.
Veracruz Restaurant. Veracruz, what did we do in the draft? Nothing. Veracruz Restaurant, Monday.
Cornerback we got in the 3rd round, I think, could be pretty good.
And supposedly we got
healthy.
A receiver from Pittsburgh, maybe as a free agent, that's supposed to be good. Supposedly it was Pittsburgh's best free agent. So
Katina Arterberry checking in, and I saw somebody else that we hadn't said hi to yet. Sherry Jacobs, good morning.
Yeah.
Sure, he'll be a bingo.
Veracruz, though, get in Monday. Full menu options. Everything's available. They have the best, most tender fajita meat that you can find in town. Allen's Wrecker Service, 578-6300. Allen's is your go-to, Toto.
They've got yards in Refugio, Cuero, Gonzalez. They're all over, up and down, 183, 87.
Yep.
They got you covered all the way south. They can, if you're in the listening area on Magic, 578-6300, Allen's. If you're just traveling through the area and you have a blowout, give Allen's a call.
There's Glenn Dry checking in this morning. I haven't had a chance to thank him publicly. Just Sun Valley Church is going to host the celebration of life for Robbie Burge today. I think it starts at noon. But I'll tell you that as my friend, Glenn Dry just always seems to find a way to do the right thing at the right time to make things better here in town. So if you have a chance to support Sun Valley Church or just go, the blessing will be yours. Just go out there and see what Glenn's got going on. The chopping block this week, get in. We had Terrace Major on
how good
Friday.
Was it?
It was, oh man. Donnie did it in a cast iron skillet with a little butter. We didn't have any gravy, but we had butter.
You can make a little sauce from that, though.
Yeah, like a little au jus.
Glaze the pan after.
There you go. Wow, you're using all those chef words. Chopping block, though, great meat. I tell you, I've fallen in love with their breakfast sausage. They make it in house, pork sausage, and you put it in a skillet. I brown it up like hamburger meat, and then I'll do a pound, and then I mix it in with the eggs in the morning. And the sausage is lean enough that you don't end up with a bunch of grease in the pan. Sometimes you buy prepackaged tube breakfast sausage, and you end up with a whole skillet full of grease, and then like some gravelly looking stuff. This is fantastic sausage. So get by the chopping block this week. And the food trailer will be open all week. Great lunch plates. They do brisket and they do the traditional stuff.
You can get brisket by the half pound on the truck, all that.
So, fantastic.
And their sides are good. Mac and cheese is really good. They got pit potatoes. Their grilled corn's good. So anything you want there, stop on by.
I can't do that mac and cheese. Tell me about it. What's it like? Is it
delicious?
Yeah, it's really good. Smoked a little bit. It's got a little smoky flavor. It's really good stuff.
The noodles taste like bacon.
Everything has a smoky flavor. If Sean Neely chooses fingernails, they have a smoky flavor. Are you kidding me? Everything.
And they're the best fingernails you've ever eaten.
Right. They're just right. Yeah, absolutely. Talk to me about air traffic control.
Well, it just seems to be the problem. The New York Times has nothing better to report on because, the U.S. and China have agreed to pause tariffs for 90 days. Hamas plans to release their last American hostage today, living American hostage. But they've got to focus on what they call the chaos at U.S. airports. And don't think this is Donald Trump didn't get elected, sworn in January, and all of a sudden our air traffic control systems became antiquated at that minute.
No, this is not on Donald Trump at all.
This is on Trump's probably every previous administration, Biden, Obama, Bush. We've been using antiquated air traffic control systems for a long, long time. And apparently they've still got issues at Ronald Reagan National Airport where Army helicopters apparently are still venturing into airspace. You'd think they would have put a stop to that crap.
Shouldn't be that hard to do.
Shouldn't be.
Just go around the airport. It is interesting, though, if you're in D.C., there's a place, say you're up by the White House and you're looking south, essentially, towards the Washington, or you're looking north towards the Washington Monument. Anyway, you're looking towards the Washington Monument, towards Reagan Airport, which is across the Potomac. The planes, like on final approach, they do a hard bank right. And, I mean, you see a big airplane go past the Washington Monument and then level out to land, and you could see where there's all kinds of military traffic, air traffic around there, as you would expect. So I can see how you could have what the FAA calls close calls, but apparently in Newark, it doesn't seem like that long to many of us, but they're using 90s technology to manage. American has a hub there. United has a hub there. There are thousands of flights in the air daily above that airspace. And as a result, I mean, this gentleman that I was listening to said, I go into the control tower and one of the main screens that has all the little, you can imagine, it looks like a radar screen. It's got all the little blips on it as it goes around. The back of it is off and they've got a fan blowing on it because it's just working so hard and it's old and
it's got to stay cool.
And at the end of the day, this is not something Donald Trump did. This is not Doge. This has nothing to do with that. And I'm not blaming Biden for it either. I'm saying you go back years and they just haven't upgraded what they've got.
Well, part of the problem is to upgrade something. How do you do that without taking something offline for a second, right?
Well, so they asked a guy.
But here's the other problem. Airplanes are bumping each other on the ground.
Yeah, that's
as they're getting to and from. Is it because we're teaching pilots? And I don't know, but are we teaching pilots to be so reliant on the dudes with the little flashlights
that they
don't look at anything anymore and realize, oh, gee, I got a pretty big wingspan. I don't think I can get through there.
Well, a couple of years ago, the buzz was on-time departures and all that. And for those of us that fly, on-time departure just means you push from the gate. You might sit on that runway for 4 hours, but you left on time.
At least they'll give you water now.
It's because when you broke the barrier and the plane moved away from the gate, it departed on time. Well, in order to do that, there have been incidents where they're shoving that plane back and another plane clips it with its wing on the way by. Those kinds of things, those close calls happen on the ground.
Last year, the FAA moved 24 Newark air traffic controllers to Philadelphia, hoping that lower cost of living in that area and the relocation packages would be attractive. Apparently not, but there's equipment problems there, according to the New York Times. April 28th, there was a communication outage that lasted 90 seconds, and it delayed 1,800 flights.
Yeah, 90 seconds is a lifetime when you've got airplanes in the air.
Yeah.
But there was an interesting conversation. They were saying, do other countries do it better? Are there other air traffic control systems that do better? And the answer was yes, but partly because none of them operate at the scale of, it's one thing to do a better job with 10 airplanes in the air. It's another thing when you're monitoring 80 flights coming in to Ronald Reagan.
Yeah, but I bet you there's some airports that have probably the traffic like DC or Newark or New York. Heathrow's got to be quite the hub to Europe, I would think.
Right.
So I don't know.
Let's see if anybody can help with that banana question right there. Christy Thurman says, does anybody know where I can buy some really ripe bananas? I'm making banana bread for a fundraiser to go to Guatemala for a mission trip in July. It's in July. Okay, so we need to raise the money. I would just buy some bananas and, wait a week. Right?
They'll be real ripe in July.
Is there a deadline? Right.
If you buy them now, they're going to be super ripe in July.
Buy them now, stick them in your husband's golf bag. Go back in about a week.
Just leave them in your trunk for a day. If it's going to be 90 degrees today.
Yeah. What was that guy's name?
Throw them in the freezer.
Guy's name that played at U of H, Bruce Litsky. Litsky was notorious for not practicing. He didn't when the season ended, Litsky went home to his family and didn't practice, didn't play. And true story, he had met his caddy to get ready for like one of the first Pebble Beach, one of the first tournaments of the season. And his caddy was going through the bag and found a banana from last season, was in there, and it was all goopy in the bag.
I can
which
only
of course,
imagine. Would have made great banana bread.
A pro jock, a looper, just took care of that. Got a little something for the effort.
Not this guy, he quit.
No, he did it. He did it. Litsky was.
Kathleen Leininger says the Sorry transportation system can be laid at the feet of chest feeding Pete and the unelected auto pen signer. No, I think it goes back further.
I think it does. I mean, Kathleen, I agree. And it would be consistent with the program, right? If I said Pete Buttigieg did this, like when he mishandled the train wreck. But I do think it's just a systemic deterioration of antiquated equipment. Do you agree? That's what it is.
Part of it, and a lack of air traffic controllers. But here's the issue. How much? Apparently, the Trump administration in January
giving more money.
Well, they had a pretty good, successful hiring blitz. But how much is this the fact our schools are failing? Because you need to know physics and science and math if you want to be an air traffic controller. And we suck at all those things these days.
Right? Very interesting. Apparently that starts at like 65 grand is a
I think more than that
starting point, and make twice that depending on where you live.
Yeah.
I mean, there's like some regulations. In theory, they work 40 hours a week, but a lot of them are having forced overtime because of a lack of qualified people.
$10,000 bonus to graduates who opt to work in hard to staff locations. I'm taking that if I'm going to go into air traffic controller for a little while.
Especially if I've got student loans.
We did something else there. I'm trying to see where it was. It was in this story. There we go. I mean, our transportation secretary, Sean Duffy's calling for upgrades, but that just could be, they need approval from Congress.
How do you not approve that if you're Congress? Just take your chances.
45,000 flights a day in this country, folks. 3 million flying passengers a day in this country.
And when you think about it like that, we went through a golden era from probably 2009 until, last month, where nothing ever happened in the air. It was just a wonderful, 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 wonderful 15 years of safe air travel. Things happen. 3 million people a day get on airplanes. Think of it. That's 1 out of every 100 in our country.
They all fly over my house.
Right. Low.
Junior says it's the wing walker's job to tell the tug driver to stop, not the pilot. But I don't think it's the tug drivers that are smacking these planes into each other. I think it's when they're rolling on the tarmac.
Yeah.
After they're pushed back.
Junior Sample's throwing out some lingo like he knows something. Junior just throwing that out there. Yeah.
Other countries have rail, says Tammy Keeling.
Yeah, you can't get anywhere. This country's too big, too spread out for rail. You can't it's not like I can get on a train in Munich and ride overnight and go through like 4 countries and end up in France.
Yeah.
You get on a train here and ride overnight, you end up in El Paso. I mean,
if you get there.
Yeah, you can't just, it's not practical for business. And I'm not, is anybody, when you consider the number of people every year that get hit and killed by trains, is anybody really comfortable with high-speed rail? I'm not saying I wouldn't get on one, but would you get on a train in Houston that goes 120 miles an hour to be in Dallas in 2 hours, realizing that somewhere along the way there's a guy with a combine that decides he needs to get from field A to field B?
I mean, you can get on 45 and do 120 miles an hour.
You could
if you wanted to.
I just worry about there's just so much more to go wrong when the thing is connected to the ground. Now, we understand that, how far is this plane going? All the way to the scene of the crash. That's nerve-wracking. Yeah.
Well, I mean, remember when Governor Perry tried to make all his rich Spanish friends richer by stealing land in this state to make a high-speed train between Houston and Dallas?
I saw a comment, air traffic control problems blamed on public education. First of all, I didn't hear him say public education. He said that as a country, we do a terrible job of educating our youth. But you have to agree that if it involves math or physics or
Science.
and we're not very good at those things, then that could lead to a problem in air traffic control, whether it's education at the air traffic control school or any place else. If you don't know your job, it's hard to do it right.
Yeah.
Let's see. What did Linda Chris say? Kathleen Leiniger, Liberal TV has a segment every night on airplane problems and crashes across the United States while Biden was in office.
There was not a word about any of it. Yeah, I think
Yeah,
there's a
that's true.
period
While
there that
Biden was in
shouldn't be.
office, there wasn't.
Well, and
anything.
here's the
Yeah,
thing:
that's
the data actually shows. Remember when all the rage was to report on all these plane crashes that were happening? When the data actually showed that at no point in the last 10 years, 20 years, we were actually fewer crashes through the first 3 months or first quarter of
That's
this
right.
year.
First
than at
quarter
any
over last year's
Yeah.
first quarter, over Biden's last year in office.
And I think over first quarters of any time.
Yeah, going back as far as you want to go. It's the finality of and the natural fear that we have of if the plane goes down, we're gonna, you're gonna die. I mean, that's the thing. If you have a car wreck, I think nowadays, hats off to NASCAR and what we've learned about Hans devices and yada yada yada. I think that now, you have a car wreck, you probably honestly got a 95% chance of surviving it.
Yeah.
I'd be curious. NHTSA probably has that stat. What percentage, Cody, what percentage of car accidents
Are fatal.
But in general, if you have a car wreck,
We have not invested in rail. Was it our job to invest in rail? I don't know. We did invest in rail for
Yeah.
The private companies did for
Should
for
the
years.
government do that? If there was money to be made in it, the private sector would do it. I don't think it's
Instead of crossing 5 countries, we could cross this country.
It's not a
but
priority.
here's the difference, though. Gasoline in Europe costs you $7 a gallon. Gasoline in Texas is $2.50. People would rather drive, and you'll still get there at the same time.
not to mention once you get there, you've got to Uber, or then you've got to get in a driverless car, and just Texans especially want the freedom of their automobile.
So 0.5% of car wrecks are fatal.
0.5%.
3/4 of those are caused by male drivers.
Well, and I think there's probably
I was
more male
hopeful it
drivers.
was a little more even.
Don't you think there's more male
Probably.
drivers?
Christy Thurman says the bananas need to ripen naturally to get the full nutritional benefits. So you're making banana bread.
Yeah, and it's for a
There's
fundraiser.
no
We're
nutritional
not
benefits
trying
of banana bread,
Come on, Christy.
especially the way I make it. I throw chocolate chips in there. So
We're not trying to give people a healthy alternative. We're trying to raise money. Let's focus, Christy.
Tastes good.
Puree it, put a little vanilla and some chocolate in there,
Yeah, a
and let
little
it go.
vanilla extract.
Sure.
Maybe a little. Yeah. Maybe
When in doubt, add some butter.
full nutritional benefits of banana bread. That's a first. Thank
You
you.
get
Christy.
your oil and you add in a commensurate amount of flour and you stir that into a paste, and then you start adding milk and using a whisk, and then you make gravy. And when you make gravy, you add lots of black pepper to it and a little salt because the milk will get a little flat. Gravy. Am
Which
I
had
right?
nothing to do with banana bread
It
at all.
could. In my fantasy, it's banana bread coated in gravy.
That's disgusting.
So
Yeah.
is it a white gravy or banana gravy?
Man, I don't know. Probably males going 120 miles an hour playing race car driver. That's what causes it. White males.
Probably.
White males that vote Republican. That's who did it.
Let's see, did it.
In cars with huge expensive car notes on them.
Yeah. Let's take our next break, and then we'll talk about the executive order to try to lower prescription prices expected to be announced today.
If those men would go to Atzenhofer or Atzenhofer.com, they could buy the car of their choice at a lower
They could get that
monthly
Corvette that would
payment.
get them there in about 150 miles an
And
hour.
still wreck it.
still wrap it
I'm not
around.
saying they don't have to wreck it or they can't.
But 0.5%, when we're not even talking about 1% of if there's 100 accidents, if there's 1,000 accidents, we're talking about 5.
Yeah.
Think about that.
Couldn't do the math at 100, could you?
No, because
you can't have a half of an accident.
half of an accident.
No,
Well, I guess you-
0.5%.
Yeah,
this thing.
0.5, not 5%. If there's 100 accidents, half of one is fatal.
Would that be a single car accident where the guy drives into a bridge?
Look, no, they'd be like,
that's too much math.
He has the wreck and dies later. White Trash Services, White Trash Site Services for all your refuse needs. Have a trash-tastic day. Reach out to White Trash and let them come. They can give you a dumpster, roll-off dumpster. You can have Tito's gravy. I like that. But in my mind, I'm adding some cranberries to that. Does that go on my banana bread?
That's a vodka.
Are there nuts in that bread?
Cran?
Do you have to put a warning on that bread as you go to
if you
Guatemala?
put nuts in it, you probably got to put a warning on it. You probably got to, if you're using flour, it's no longer gluten-free.
Wow. If you're sickly, don't eat it. White Trash Services can help you get what you need in trash collection. They'll help you have a trash-tastic day. 550-1826. Go by it. I'm going to Atzenoffer this week, by the way. Don't forget, they do all makes and model of service. I'm going by and getting my oil changed.
Nice.
Yeah, a used vehicle that I bought from Atzenoffer, but it's not a Chevrolet. And I'm going to go by and they're gonna fix it for me.
Hey, I got an idea for you, Christy, because you don't need ripe. You don't need ripe carrots. Make some carrot cake instead.
There you go. Get out that little knuckle dragger thing that you
grind your knuckles on.
Oh man, that hurts.
Went Services, Went Electrical Services for all your electrical needs. Give Went a call. Backup generators in stock, ready to put them in for you right now.
No doubt about it. Went is there to serve you. And it may be as easy as I need a new plug. I need a new ballast. Yeah, Ricky King, 4 years ago, he has a wreck and dies from COVID. He died of COVID. We tested him. He had the bacteria. Chesnick Furniture. Chesnick and Love make your house a home. Get into Chesnick today and see why you just always do better at Chesnick. Whether you want a best recliner, a new sofa, a new love seat, dining set, they've got it all. Appliances, bedding, really, they have it all. Get into Chesnick.
Something for every room in the house.
Today. Do you remember, we haven't talked about it, but do you remember when we were just so right about COVID, like almost from the beginning?
Well, I remember there was Jonathan Taves, who plays for the Chicago Blackhawks. I think he's 30-some odd years old now. Hasn't played for 2 years. He's been suffering from long COVID.
And the left will tell you, well, if he would have gotten the vaccine,
he probably is.
No, if he'd have gotten the vaccine, it would have minimized his symptoms. Now think about that. How do you know? How do you know it minimized your symptoms? Like the guy's like on life support and the doctor's going, it could have been so much worse. He could have not been vaxxed. No, I don't understand.
I think Taves would have had to have been in order to play during the COVID debacle of.
But these
NHL
people that are truly anti-vax, I think they're nuts.
Yeah.
I mean, if there's a vaccine that I can give my child to make sure that polio stays eradicated, if there's a vaccine I can give my child for measles, these are things that have been tested over, if not centuries, decades, multiple decades. Now, maybe some people are saying, well, we've seen an increase in autism due to this vaccine and that vaccine. And by the way, studies don't show that that's actually true. I'm not anti-vaccine. I'm anti-COVID vaccine because in a matter of about 6 months, 3 different companies all made a vaccine. Johnson & Johnson decided, you know what? Ours isn't worth poop. We're taking it off the market. But Moderna and who else?
Pfizer. Well, they're finding out that the Pfizer one is causing more problems than the Moderna one, which the Moderna one was mRNA, and I think the Pfizer one wasn't.
Yeah, the whole thing. Does that? No, I have a dumb question. Does that work its way out of your system over time, or do I still have?
Well, apparently it does because you always got to get a new booster, right? So yeah, these things aren't working. It's funny as the FDA approved 3 natural dyes to be used in food and beverages over the weekend. It seems that the media came out harder over the weekend against Robert F. Kennedy. Galaderia blue, butterfly pea flower extract, and calcium phosphate. Apparently, I think there were a couple of blues.
Shame on Robert F. Kennedy Jr. for thinking that maybe if we took some of this garbage out of our food, we might be healthier. I mean, the arrogance of that guy, right?
Yeah.
And it's always those pesky Republicans. Oh, wait, he's not a Republican. He doesn't even portray himself as a Republican today. He's just doing his part as requested by his president. That guy's not a Republican, doesn't think like a Republican, doesn't purport to be a Republican. But he is committed. He may be wrong, but he's committed. I mean, he's given up his entire family. The Kennedys don't like him anymore.
No.
He's given up his family over it.
Red dye number 3 gone as of January of 27. I think yellow, bunch of the yellow dyes, other red dyes.
But it has no effect on me. I don't care what color your Fruit Loops are. I don't. I mean, I don't get it.
But I think it's funny that they make the move because, you know, for years the folks on the left have been clamoring that we've got to get rid of these dyes. They're killing our kids. They're causing behavioral issues. They're leading to cancer.
Michelle Obama was on a campaign to make everybody healthier and all that. And
so he gets rid of them and the left skewers them. And now the left is all of a sudden sticking up for big business. Well, the manufacturers are going to have trouble getting these new dyes in. Well, other countries have managed to do it for years.
Now, Kathleen Leininger has a solid point because I had said there were no vax studies that showed an autism connection. She says the best control group ever is a quick look at the Amish. There is true there. As far as I know, no Amish person has ever been declared on the spectrum. That's very interesting. And there's no getting around it. That's interesting.
Is that because of no vaxes or is that because of all the inbreeding?
I don't know. I don't, but it is interesting.
Have you watched some of those shows like Breaking Amish? They're a little different.
There you go. There you go. A Canadian, Cody, judging people.
Offending everyone.
Yes, why not? Equal opportunity offender.
No, just the Amish on those shows because I'm sure they cast the weirdest ones to be on that show.
No, that's probably true. There's no doubt that they're an interesting group. Junior points out that Fauci dances all the way to the bank, waving his pardon. I knew we were in trouble, and these are the little things that you go, there you go, let's put that on the show. I knew we were in trouble way back when Joe Biden said, we've really got to rush these vaccines to market, and as a result.
Actually, that was Donald Trump. Trump was in charge when COVID hit, and he's the one that ordered the emergency authorization to rush the vaccine.
Was it Trump who also said these folks will have no legal ramifications?
That was all part
Shame on the Donald. I knew there was something wrong when that happened. And at that point, you get to that level, and it's a blur. You can't really tell the Republicans from the Democrats. It doesn't really matter which administration it was.
No, I believe that's his biggest misstep as president in his 45th administration was what it was his reaction, an overreaction to COVID.
It was kind of one of those, well, we have to do something, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Kathleen Leininger, you're right on that one. I think Ash is wrong, but
I was just joking.
I won't call him.
I don't know, but I mean, look at. Well, I mean, then again, I'm not ready to call the measles outbreak a mass.
That was nothing. That was not like 6 people
seemed to hit a certain population of folks that had no measles.
Yeah.
So let's see. In about 15 minutes, Donald Trump plans to sign an executive order that will direct the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services to adopt a policy that would institute a most favored nation policy for drug pricing. He says it will immediately reduce our prescription drug and pharmaceutical prices by almost 30% to 80%. See, what's happening around the world is all these countries with socialized medicine, like Canada, with 35 million people, 40 million people, 100 times fewer people in that country than the United States. Their government goes and negotiates a price for, let's say, a popular statin. Costs $1 a pill. So it's costing you $30 for a month's supply, right?
Close.
Depending on the month.
Right.
Más o menos.
Love your Spanish. You're so multilingual. I
am. So they go do that. But what they'll tell you, what they do though, is they know they can make it up on the backs of the American people because our insurance issue here with medical insurance is ridiculous. The profit margin of pharmaceutical companies in the United States is through the roof. And he said, if this country's paying only this much for a pharmaceutical, we're only going to pay this much for a pharmaceutical. They negotiate that. The drug companies negotiate that with Canada's government. And Canada's government does subsidize some medicines, don't get me wrong. But they'll negotiate the price because they know they can make it up on the backs of Americans because we are the most overprescribed, overweight population in the world. And when you're sick, fat, and old, you tend to have health problems. We're also an aging population.
All true. Nothing like an upbeat Monday to get you rolling.
I'm just, it is upbeat. I mean, if it brings, right. Emily Castro, good morning. You know Emily? I don't know Emily, but I'm glad you're checking in. Emily, thank you.
You said that name correctly. That's what gets me.
I hope she doesn't pronounce it Castro John.
No.
And I just completely screwed it up.
Yeah.
But I doubt it. So USA Today reporting that they're going to adopt this detail still. Don't forget, he tried to do this back in his first term and actually had a rule that would have applied to Medicare payments, and the Biden rescinded that. So
because Biden was in bed with Big Pharma, they were all making money off this deal.
Yeah.
It's funny because the Obama administration, in stereotype, hated Big Pharma, called Big Pharma out for everything that Big Pharma was doing. And then Biden came along and literally got in bed with Big Pharma. They made a gazillion dollars.
They've all been in bed with Big Pharma.
They made a gazillion dollars off of COVID. Them and Fauci.
Health and Human Services report
ridiculous.
Last year shows that the U.S. is paying about 3 times more than most of the countries in the world for certain drugs. So
yeah,
this will drop drug prices. You know who's going to be mad? The rest of the world is going to be mad at the United States again. And you know why? Because no longer are countries like Canada going to only be able to pay $1 a pill a day when the companies can make the profits. So those countries are now going to pay more for their drugs. And they settle into contracts for 1 or 2 years or 3 years, sometimes longer than that.
Yep.
That's why these drug companies in Canada can give you mail order prescriptions for a whole lot cheaper than you can get down here. And Congress then allowed that to happen because you used to not be able to bring prescription drugs across the border.
Yeah, but you think about in your mind, you're like, well, this ought to cost $1 a pill, and it should. Which, by the way, the cost to make any pill is negligible,
especially when they make them in China.
Yeah, but the thing is,
a bunch of them are made.
You would not think that you have different factors. Like it would surprise you, for example, to figure out that a Goodyear tire that you can buy in Canada, let's say for $50 cost you $250 here. I'm realizing that is not the case, but you'd be like, what? It's only $50 in Canada. Well, yeah, because we have road taxes and we've got higher insurance rates here. And as a result, tires just cost more here because tire companies get sued in the U.S. Whatever the product is. It's amazing that there's that big a disparity in product pricing, but there is.
Somewhat ironic that the drug manufacturers are probably hiring some little kid in China and paying him $1 a day to put a toxic blue dye into the pills.
Yeah, I've always said that Americans pay more for their drugs because we drive the R&D market.
We do some of that. I'm pretty sure we do some of that, but I don't. But apparently, a large part of that is the drug companies know that they'll make the money from back in the U.S. market, so they can give it to all these other countries.
Yeah,
at dirt cheap.
Yeah, Junior points out that in Greece, a Z-Pack is 14 euros, and they're way higher here. When I go to Mexico, I load up on the Mexican Z-Pack. It's the same pill, and they're like, $6.
Yeah. Well, you used to be able to get ibuprofen in $800 or 800 milligram tablets in Mexico.
I'd go into a coma.
U.S. U.S. based drug manufacturers. And I think our government
And the
actually
procs
pressured
now.
them. Now the strongest is 600.
And they raised their prices on it.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, Jarrett. You're right.
You're Canada's so far behind the election fraud.
Yeah, we're way ahead of that.
That was so 2020, Jarrett. Apparently, they're recounting and rejecting a bunch of votes, trying to get a majority. Boy, Mark Carney just looked like an idiot when he came and visited with Donald Trump and just sat there and didn't do anything.
It says that judges are flipping votes by one vote and all that. Do you find it interesting I guess audacity? Does it not seem odd to you that the president of the United States, whether you like Trump or not, the office of the president of the United States says, this is what we're going to do. And some circuit judge in New Jersey says, no, we're not. And some clown judge somewhere, whether you agree with him or not, the idea that a judge can hold up the country when the chief executive said, this is what we're going to do. And no, we're not.
I have a thought on that, but before Emily leaves us, I'm going to tell Emily, subscribe to us on YouTube, Emily, and share it to all your friends. We're trying to grow subscribers.
We'd love to grow our.
And I thank you for putting the wave in there because that helps our algorithms on YouTube.
Thank you. It's all about algorithms.
It is.
At some point, profit.
Algorithms and ball bearings these days.
Yep. 30 weight.
And castor oil.
Right.
But I find it interesting to follow your point there. These judges are going in and saying, oh, you can't just executive order job cuts and budget cuts. How come these judges never go in the other way? When the Biden administration was quickly spending money and adding jobs via executive order, the judges never stepped in to stop that.
Right.
They never stepped in and said, you know what? I don't think you can spend more money. But the minute you want to spend less, you can't do that. That's you're over exceeding your constitutional bounds.
H.R. Mallory says, I wouldn't buy any medications in Mexico. Too much fentanyl. I mean, when I'm down in Cabo,
Motrin.
Yeah, when I'm down there, I mean, I've got a pharmacist that I've known for years down there, and I trust him. And you'll buy stuff. It's Pfizer. It's not like Jose's, Medicaid.
I don't buy my drugs from that guy standing on the street side going, weed, cocaine.
Right.
Oh no, it starts off with cigars, right? Cigars, weed,
cocaine.
Cocaine.
You like party? You
The last time I was there, the guy went, cigars, I'm like, weed, cocaine, heroin. Whoa, that escalated quickly.
Yep, absolutely. It's pointed out correctly. Judiciary is separate from executive branch, as is Congress. The executive is not the sole authority. No, but the president of the United States is way, way up the food chain of influence and authority from some judge that we've never heard of in New York. And I have a problem with these judges. What the left is doing now is trying to tie. Did you know that Donald Trump, true story, has 400 lawsuits against him? There's no way to prepare, defend. It's just all ridiculous garbage. It's ridiculous. And it's a waste of time. And it's what the Democrats do. They waste time. Like they waste time here protesting in stupidity because nothing's going to come of it.
Yeah.
You're not starting a grassroots movement. You're exposing that you're an idiot. Go home and make me a pot pie. Quit being that fool on the corner. I don't understand why we tolerate as a nation the senseless, endless harassment of our president. They started it the minute he came down the stairs in 2016 because he used to be a Democrat. He used to give money to Hillary. And then when he decided, hey, our country is going to hell, I'm going to do what I can to fix it. Well, they took that personally.
Yeah, Joe Biden, according to Alliance for Justice, appointed more judges than Donald Trump.
They
and I
did it
believe
just
in-
like you
yeah.
try to get that one Muslim on the school board, you know. It's the same thing. Let's get as many liberal judges in here as we can, because then we can turn to them when we need something. And you've seen it. Search warrants signed on Saturday night at 11:59. I mean, just crazy stuff. Like you couldn't find.
You mean like the one for Roger Stone that time?
Absolutely. You couldn't find a judge in Victoria County on a Saturday.
You can't find them on a Friday.
No, are you kidding me? These guys go, they know exactly where to go. They know exactly where to go. Christy Thurman says, yes, she was in Playa and bought a cigar on the beach, and out of nowhere, about 4 guys appeared out of the bush and were like, cocaine? You want cocaine? I was like, moths to a flame. I always say, you got a sister? And they always laugh and go, yeah, I got a sister. But I treat those people somewhat politely because I think they're cartel. I do. And it is always the same. Cuban cigar? No, I don't. You like party? You want some weed? I'm like, no, I'm not going to smoke your weed. You know, no thanks. I'm 62 years old and I look it. I'm walking down the street and some 5-year-old's going, you want cocaine? No, I don't want cocaine. I'm like, you got any heroin?
Where do you go? Because I always see the 5-year-old trying to give me some gum.
Chick-fil-A.
Yeah. I'm going to try to find out how many executive orders were blocked by judges during the Biden administration and how many have been blocked by the Trump administration. That's
well, first of all, there's not enough conservative judges. So, you know, that's one issue. I mean, even the most conservative judge is still probably a Democrat.
Middle of the road, maybe.
Yeah. But it is hard. I mean, I think, to be honest, if I'm in court, I want the most liberal judge I can get. I want a guy that doesn't believe in the death penalty, believes that I should have unsupervised, bail. That's what I want. Hi, Brent Anderson. Yes, sir. We try to tell it like it is, brother.
Brent took his dog for dinner on Friday. I had a chat with Brent.
With some fava beans and a nice Chianti.
No, he took him for dinner.
Oh, took him for dinner.
Didn't have him for dinner.
Well, the Riker update. Riker went to the groomer and is just radiant. Yeah. He defines ebony. He is as black as they come.
He is a deep shade of black.
Riker, come here.
He's sleeping somewhere. He ain't going to listen to you. He doesn't want to listen to you. He's sleeping. Why are you waking him up? Randy Langston, good morning. He says, hey, ask the tax office why they're giving away metal sheds. I don't know what you're referring to. I have no idea what you're referring to, Randy Langston.
Oh, you're growing. Let's get where we can see you. There he is.
Not going to be able to come up here anymore.
Don't adjust your sets. Don't adjust your sets. This dog is black.
Can't look at that.
Black dogs matter.
Handsome.
Black dogs matter. That's all I'm saying.
Black labs matter.
Black labs matter.
And he is a labradoodle.
Got a little lab, a lot of poodle. Oh, it's a big yawn. Love you too. He's a sweet dog. Everybody should have a dog. There's nothing quite like petting a dog.
Jonathan Williams says, in the Philippines, all the street dealers start with asking if you want Viagra.
Right?
Well, see, but you can go buy that at the corner pharmacy for super cheap. So
I probably told y'all, but I'll leave you with this joke. It's not a joke, but I was at a pharmacy in Mexico. I'd gone in, I'd taken some laundry over to get it done, and I came back and I walked into this place, and it was just me. There was a young girl working at the pharmacy, and she said, you want Viagra? I go, what? And I said, I was looking for some kind of, it was like a Neosporin type thing. And I said, no, thank you. She goes, I got Viagra for women. So me being me, I said, you take it? I mean, do you take it? I said, what does it do to you? Oh, it made me horny. She told me, she was just, trying to sell it. Shamelessly.
Your Mexican accent just became Asian.
You make me. How do you know she wasn't Asian? You make me horny. You make me horny. I said, no. I said, look, man, I'm married to a woman that's 20 years younger than me. The last thing I need is her becoming more insatiable. And the lady goes, I got sleeping pills. I was like, that's so funny, man. Her timing was so good. She goes, got you? I said, yes, ma'am. Get out of here.
Speaking of gotcha,
folks, it's the top of the hour. I hope you all have a great Monday. Be safe on the streets. Look out for your neighbor. Get by the First State Bank of Louise and open a free checking and savings account for your kid or grandkid.
Like and share the video, folks. And we'll see y'all tomorrow.
Love you guys.
Bye, folks.
Bye.